My argument is that we cannot exclude that type of probability calculus because the first piece of Mason evidence says in a situation where human extinction is risk, then we would undoubtedly say it would avoid human extinction. Insofar as that's true, then the reasons to prefer consequentialism outweigh the reasons to prefer his level of the epistemological framework, because I'm reading evidence that indicates that even in a social context where we have to take into account the material conditions, there is still a bright line for when we would say we've crossed the threshold to when we have to act to prevent human extinction. That's the Mason evidence. Insofar as conceding 100% strength of link to the cord log disadvantage, which is a extinction impact, and I still link into the epistemological framework because I'm turning the internal link to, like in the framework that says we can't look to some kind of universal set of principles for morality to judge those actions. So you vote on cord clog disad. It links to his epistemological framework, but even if that's not true, I link to promotion of human flourishing because he concedes in cross-examination that extinction would be bad for that.
Great, that's fine. Okay, starting on grammar, be there for a while, and then I'll signpost, right? Okay. I didn't see the reasoning of social context. His argument is that consequentialism is better within the social context, but he has to answer the gram evidence in order for him to be winning this argument. Remember, he's not said one word on the gram evidence. He's saying the gram evidence. It says that our position is rooted in material production, which indicates any impacts have to, because it influences every aspect of life. Nothing can be described without reference to means of production. Even if we have an extinction link, we can't describe that extinction link as bad unless we reference the means of production that occurred, that caused that link to occur, which indicates that he has to be linking as to why the cord clog disad links, or why the cord clog disad is a result of some sort of material conditions that are provided for humans, such as capitalism or Marxism, some sort of mode of economic production. Remember, I guess it's intuitive that extinction is bad. Yeah, it's bad, but it's only bad if you're linking into my framework about how it has to be bad based on material conditions. His only response to this argument that we can use empirics to determine those material conditions, but he doesn't have any empirics that determine material conditions. He just has empirics to talk about how the cord clog disad is going to have all these bad impacts. That has nothing to do with the historical production of resources that occurs in the United States, which indicates that he's not linking by framework. He just says he can do that under his framework. He still has to be doing that in order to link the argument. Then his arguments are going to have a lot of problems on a different level. So at this point, we've established that the only arguments that are relevant to the epistemological framework within a social context are ones that have to do with material production of resources that happen within the United States to a specific group of people. He is not linked to that framework. You can call the gram part out of the ground and the implication of that part. He has not said one word on that. All of his evidence is generic consequentialism evidence, but it's not analyzing the internal warrant that says the material production of resources constrains our evaluations of consequentialism, which indicate that those types of impacts aren't important. But I'm going to be excluding consequentialism on other levels. Go to the argument about how he said human flourishing is, if we're all dead, we can't have human flourishing. But that problem is answered back by the type of weighing that I'm doing about ideological progression at the bottom. So it's sending brainford evidence. And it says that ethics needs to be concerned with the real lived experiences of people, needs to permit the conditions necessary for individual flourishing, and the Kane evidence and the goal of ethics is to shape the empirical world in the way which allows the universal achievement of human telos, which is the consequence is not necessarily relevant. That I can concede the fact that like all these people are going to be dead, that's bad, but that extends the standard and the weighing analysis of oppression under the standard says that ideological oppression is the worst form of oppression that you can afflict in terms of universalizable maxim, because if maximum oppression is taking place at all, which indicates even if we have an extinctionist, the type of oppression that I'm having under my framework is more relevant because it's ideological. Even if we have an extinctionist, he's not saying why extinction risks are really important within the context of my framework. My framework prioritizes ideological oppression over that. Even if it's intuitive, don't give him the argument. My internal warrants are stronger. That means that ideological oppression is always worse, which indicates that I'm in sync with the gram evidence, because gram evidence has to do with ideologies that affect the material conditions that people live in. So then go to the contention level. It says the Greenberg evidence indicates the exclusion of juveniles from the labor market led to an increase in crime because juveniles cannot get the resources they need, which indicates that I'm giving you the only historical context why the juvenile system was created. His answer is that it's not like that now. My argument, the Graham evidence says that you have to analyze the historical context, even if it's not like that now. It absolutely has no relevance because my Graham evidence has a strong internal warrant. Also, my response to that argument is that it is like that right now because the Fell's evidence and the solvency evidence says that that's how it's functioning right now in terms of eliminating social control. So extend the federal evidence, comprehensive reform, social benefits to juveniles who need, but not having require radical change. Fell 2, the treaty of criminals offside, ignore social problems. Then extend Fell 3, that decoupling social welfare policies is the only system that solves false. Remember, even if there's worse impacts in the adult system, I'm the only person who's solving the ideological question that is linking into Graham evidence. The way that Graham extends is I'm pointing that you can't have universal, you have to have social context. We both agree on that evidence. But Graham says that social context only makes sense in terms of capitalism, Marxism, and those economic productions, at the point where he's not linking into that card at all, only his impacts are not relevant at all. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.